Hello and welcome. You're here with Miss Libby Rose. Hello. And in today's sewing tutorial, we're going to be making this vintage style military hat that is, of course, quirky and made from fat quarters. So to get started, you will need 2 fat quarters, so one for the outside, one for the in. You can use the same fat quarter if you like. You're not using much fabric for this at all, which is quite nice. You'll also need some interfacing, and if you can see at the front there, I've got this overlap with the button on there. So I've put a sort of vintagey rose button, but for the next one, for this one that I'm going to be making with you, I'm actually going to use one of these big oversized buttons. So gather up your fabric, print out the pattern, and if you can cut 2 pieces from this shape, 2 pieces from this shape, and your interfacing of the same, and iron on your interfacing ready, and then we're good to go. So now that we have all of our pieces cut out and ready, one more thing to note is that if you've got a pattern direction, so I'm doing this sailor type of fabric and I've got all of my anchors going up one way, just know that the long bit is the top, the shorter bit is the bottom. So if you can see the direction that my pattern is going in, that's what you need to do for yours. Okay, so that's all of that out the way. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is find our middle line. So we've already cut this on the fold using the pattern. I'm going to find the center of this. So where we've cut it on the fold, that center, I'm going to put a crease down there. And then I will use that crease to take one piece and a top, place with right sides together. That crease is going to one of the points, and then we're going to sew all the way down and sew all the way down, knowing that you will have a bit left over at the end, and that's good. That's why we're starting at the middle. So at the point, at the middle, right sides together, sew down that side, sew down that side. So now we have one side of the hat, and you can see why we've used the longer side at the top. We've got this angular that comes down, and that's for the bottom to fit around, shape around your head. So then we go to the lining side. Now I've already put on half, so you can see my crease down the back there. And so this time I'll follow it around. As you can see, I've already gone around one side. When you go around the other, you want to leave a gap. So a gap just about 4 to 6 centimeters, just enough so that you can get your hand in there and turn it all through when that's time to do that. So at the top here, leaving a gap. And now that we have both of the hats together, we're going to notch the whole way around this curve and cut a little bit off the top, so off the front, so you can get a nice sharp edge. Just trim that excess point bit off, and we're just going around with our tiny little notches. So just little tiny nicks with the scissors up to the stitch line, but not over. Now what you can do here is get yourself some fabric or a tea towel or something like that and push it inside, so then you can press that down to give some nice sharp edges around there. Once you've pressed and you're happy, then we're going to place them right sides together, making sure that you've got both of these flat bits at the front together. Now pin the whole way around, so shuffle the hat inside each other, so the 2 hats inside each other. And you're going to go around, around, around. So can you see this top part here? You're going to leave this split because they're going to overlap each other and the button's going to go on there, okay? So match up this top point, matching there, and then you're going to sew from the top point out, around, the whole way around the edge until you get back to the front point again. in, around, and box that in so you're all stitched up. The only gap that's left is the one we left earlier, inside. And then once you've gone the whole way around, you will have these bits opening at the front. Just as long as they're all fully stitched in, that's good. But this is meant to slip open like that. Then do some little notches so you've got your corners nice and sharp, so taking off the edges up to the stitch line but not over, and then again notches the whole way around up to the stitch line, not touching that stitch line. Then you go to the hole that you left in the lining and turning the whole hat through. Now at this point you might want to use, I've always got chopsticks in my kit, that's quite a good thing to use to push it through. So you want to get through your corners. Don't grab your scissors and just go, oh, I'll just push it through using my scissors. It's a bad habit to get into. So I'm pushing, pushing, pushing. So once it's all shuffled through, then you want to use your iron to really get these edges out nice and crisp, so that that's around that brim line. It'll be nice and crisp edges. So you roll out the seam, and they should come out nicely because we've made our notches in there. So I'm just going around and pressing it down. And then we've got these front parts, so these front bits that overlap each other. And then we come to the front of the hat and we're going to overlap these two pieces, and you get your button. This is just for decoration to hold it all together, and it's in the center, so these two flaps overlap. You pop your button in place and you use your hand sewing needle to catch all of these three in place. So you're sewing on your button and you're also holding all of those pieces in place as well. So your button is for decoration. There's no buttonhole to go with it, but it's to, yeah, so it's to hold the whole front bit in. So I'm just going to do a few stitches here up and down. And if you want to be really clever, you could just sew inside the lining so you don't see any of the stitches on this side, on your lining side, so you can sort of just catch it in between. That's if you just want to be really clever. Otherwise, just try and be as neat as you can with your hand sewing, because you will see it on the inside. So I've just done a few stitches there, and I will finish that off, so I'll keep my thread in there. So now we've got our super cool finished piece. The last thing you want to do is also, with your hand sewing needle, is to sew up that hole in the lining, and then you are done. Well done. And that should just sort of pull down. It goes up at the back, down at the front, showing off your button. And you're all ready for your vintage event, or going down the beach, or whatever it is that you'd like to wear yours to. So I'll see you next time for the next tutorial. And as usual, I would love to see your make. So if you can, send me a picture, send me a video, or any problems or anything, you can just get in touch. It's misslibbyrose@gmail.com or @MissLibbyRose on Facebook or Twitter. And Instagram is @Miss_Libby_Rose. See you soon. Bye for now.